So I watched this very simply titled Game Night, and I didn't think it was too bad. But I mean, I've read a bit about how it was perceived and how much box office it made as well. And I thought personally that was a bit too much. Really, I mean, it wasn't too bad, but it seemed to be much more highly regarded than usual. I mean, the average rating is still close to 7, apparently not even 7 exactly. But uh, I mean, so that's I don't think that is too highly rated there, too much anyway. But the fact that it won 2 prizes and it made about at least 5 times as much as it cost, or even more. Yeah, it's. But then again, this is the thing. I mean, even terrible movies really can make a lot. Cheap horror or such. Makes a lot usually. Um, so did this. Yeah, so did this. It's not too highly rated, but still made a lot. Some movies are overrated. Some movies are over box office, I guess, or whatever the verb is. And this is kind of thereabouts. It seems like it was critically well received as well. It's not that it's bad. It's not, but it's not. I mean, too funny. It's not laugh out loud, too much funny. It's just whatever. I mean, um, the thing at the end, where they show that cop made all those plans and such. That was interesting, but still not terribly funny or such. Just interesting at best. What was also interesting is how they made the audience think that this was real or this wasn't. First, it makes you think that it is real, and then it goes back and forth. That's interesting, but still not funny inherently by itself, just interesting. So does have this unique factor in that sense that it's interesting. I'm sure there's other movies that did similar things, but not necessarily in that order. And obviously, with regards to the plane thing, that's a coincidence, that I happened to watch this so soon after SWAT. Now, I mean, comparison SWAT is much crappier. But, similarly, though, it made loads in box office, which is why this franchise continues. But um, I mean, it did have self-referential humor and such, which is fine, really. I mean, much better than not having none, taking everything seriously, and yet being a really stereotypical sort of story, like SWAT was, or you could say propaganda even. Um, um, but as I said before, and it's commentary. It's not wholly propaganda, but anyway, yeah. This wasn't too bad. So like Tag, it was also an action comedy, but I think I preferred Tag. I don't know for its I don't know. There's a certain joy de vivre in it, maybe until the very end at least. I mean, the ending is a bit stereotypical. Not stereotypical. It's more. I don't know. It tries that pathos thing, but anyway, that's just Tag. It's not. So this though game night, yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it still was a bit too too well received. I guess one could say. I don't know. It's a bit strange thing to say, I guess, but Um, I mean, it wasn't too bad, but just not laugh out loud bad, I suppose. What I liked though is how they went from having serious things to having the casual ones. So they kept on alternating between those, and like like at the beginning as well, when there was that fight when the kidnappers were trying to take that guy, they were just discussing how nice the food is and such. At that point, they still thought it was the fake kidnapping and such. So that's interesting, how they were able to alternate between those two, and they kept on doing that throughout. But like at certain bits, like when they're at that pub and she convinces them that it's a real gun and such. I mean, there were quite a lot of opportunities. I mean, there's no way in real life somebody who's threatening others would be dancing, right? And she even dropped the gun. Like seriously, I mean, either they really. That's a bit of a mismatch, mismatch, isn't it? Later on, I mean, yeah. So I mean, so sure they were hired actors or whatever, but if it was real, that would never happen. So, even then, I don't know. Maybe she could have realized that. Although yeah, at that point she still thought they were real. But I don't know, just a lot of this thing. I mean, it does try to go back and forth, but somehow doesn't make it. I mean, because the movie does try to make the audience think that they're real, right? Only later we find out that they're not. But even despite that, it doesn't try to make it seem real. I mean, nobody drops the gun, and somehow she's let. She just, he just looks at it and and she just says, "Oh no, I have seen you eyeing it." I mean, it doesn't happen for real. If it was real, I mean, if it did, then they wouldn't be as aggressive as they were later. As they show themselves to be able to be later. So there's just there was this mismatch. I'm just saying. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's sort of um, gets the audience out of this. I mean, if you could call it, if a movie is supposed to, create this sort of magic spell or such, it just bursts the bubble in a way. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, in terms of the competitive nature of those those two, that was sort of interesting. I liked how they compared, they made that analogy with Pac-Man and such. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. As I said, I thought I'm not laugh out loud sort of funny, just interesting thing. I'm still not sure if not having the cherry really enables Pac-Man to survive for longer. I must try that strategy. I would have thought, the cherry or fruit, whatever, enables Pac-Man to eat the ghost, not so much the other way around. Hmm. I cannot think that that's true. I mean, the fruits are always on the side anyway, so I don't know. Just it's not like the ghost cannot go in the middle or something. It can go anywhere. So anyway, yeah. So it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I mean, sure. I guess the few reviews quoted here didn't seem to indicate that it's the most amazing comedy movie ever, but that's a bit strange to say, considering that on Rotten Tomatoes it's 85%, and that's what I don't quite get though. How these this site at least is how 85% doesn't quite translate into 6.92 over 10, does it? So. Not entirely sure why 85%. Um, Now, sure enough, Metacritic here, which does an average weighted score out of many critics, well, yeah, 41 critics, is ends up with only 66 out of 100, which is still below the average rating. So I don't know where 85% comes from here. That's the odd one out. Um, but yeah, um, post truck then report 78% as well. So no one knows. This is quite a range, from 6 something to 8.5. But yeah, the reviews quoted then, so a few, 3 reviews anyway. Yeah, uh, basically same thing. So not exactly, yeah, but it did win prizes for the ensemble cast and editing. Not sure what editing, or not sure what it had special. I noticed at one point it had this thing where when they were in that cop's house, and I think it was some sort of food thing, and I think fried eggs for some reason, but it was so fast. I don't know why they made it go so fast, like only a second and a half or something. And I don't think I even saw any fried eggs later on, so they just put it there for the heck of it. I don't know what it was about. Strange thing, very strange. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, it's whatever it is, really. I mean, it's not the most amazing thing ever, but not the worst thing either. So, yeah, I guess it might be a bit slightly above average. I suppose it's not the very most mundane movie ever, but apparently it got inspired by Tropic Thunder, which I did watch once years ago. First, I don't quite remember that much, but I don't mind. I suppose action comedy. I suppose it's sort of derived from martial arts as well, movies that Jackie Chan type. Those are really, I think they're derived from it anyway, because they're quite old. So those came in the 80s and 90s, I think, mostly. And obviously this is 20 years later than that. So, but then again, it doesn't have martial arts, so slightly different. Of course, being made in the US, it has guns. Why wouldn't it? Of course. So, I mean, they probably thought that being shot inadvertently and seeing the bullet hole create the hole and the blood just pouring out suddenly is funny. They probably thought that was funny. They probably also thought that, the two of them just vomiting each other out just because they're looking at each other was funny. At least it was an extended scene. That's what I wouldn't have liked. But incidentally, I got to read a bit about how Fabergé eggs were made. I must have missed reading it in the past. I mean, I did hear of them in the past, but didn't quite read about them. They're quite interesting. I'm not sure why I did never realized that they're such they're considered so well. I mean, anything in limited supply is, I suppose, even worthless stuff as long as it's limited. So yeah, I also never heard of any of these actors as it happens, and I haven't heard of the screenwriter directors either, called Stan and Daly. Yeah, so this was a really really sort of new sort of movie for me. Honestly, I've never heard of most of these people. Um, yeah, for some reason, Jesse Plemons was a bit familiar, but I don't think I watched anything here. Hmm. You've been acting for a long while. So yeah, but yeah, I did watch him in Paul once. I did watch Paul, but I watched it when it came out, so that's 9 years. So I don't know if I honestly remember him from there. I liked Paul though. Yeah, but, I suppose it's a sci-fi comedy, so even better than action comedy, I think. Yeah. Um. So it wasn't too bad, but it's yeah, humdrum. I suppose it's a good word, but whatever, really.